Raise your hands. Should Hunter and Trump both be held accountable if they are found guilty on any of their indictments?
Until they find some evidence, we need to get back to the people's work, which means keeping this government open so that people don't go hungry.
The clown show that we saw yesterday and the fact that the Republicans believe their hype so much as to get in front of the entire country, quite frankly, the entire world, and show that they literally had zero evidence to support impeaching the president of the United States. Representative Greg Casar putting Republicans on the spot to show the entire world while they are in a hearing to try to impeach Joe Biden, Republicans refuse to support the rule of law. If Donald Trump is successfully found guilty by a jury of his peers, Republicans refuse to accept it.
Will members of the Oversight Committee please raise your hand if you believe both Hunter and Trump should be held accountable for any of the indictments against them if convicted by a jury of their peers?
All of the Democrats raised their hands. None of the Republicans raised their hands.
No, it's serious. This is a serious matter. If y'all need to think about it, we can take a moment and think about it. It is serious. This is very serious. Think about it. Should both Hunter and Trump be held accountable? I want to see whether you'd raise your hands. Should Hunter and Trump both be held accountable if they are found guilty on any of their indictments? Raise your hand if you think that equal justice under the law applies and Trump should be held accountable. I think it is worse than embarrassing that Republicans won't raise their hands. They refuse to say that equal justice under the law should apply to everyone. And when you step back and think about it,
then what about the January 6th defendant?
It's kind of scary. This double standard insults the institutions of Congress that people fought and died to build. This impeachment hearing clearly is not about justice. We cannot say equal justice under the law for everyone except for the guy who holds the leash.
Absolutely brilliant exposure of Republican hypocrisy done there by Representative Greg Casar of the 35th Congressional District of Texas, really putting Republicans on the spot to show the entire world while they are in a hearing to try to impeach Joe Biden, Republicans refuse to support the rule of law. If Donald Trump is successfully found guilty by a jury of his peers, Republicans refuse to accept it. While they're trying to hold Hunter Biden accountable, who's not even an elected official, and they're trying to use him as a way to get to the president of the United States. Here's the other thing. I really, this particular time in American politics is kind of annoying to me because I'm not a fan of Joe Biden. I support Joe Biden because he's not a fascist. He's not a person who's trying to overthrow democracy, and he's had some pretty good policies over the last few years. Definitely not as progressive as I would like him to be, but that's besides the point when we're facing conservatives who absolutely want to destroy democracy and want to enshrine a two-tiered system of justice that black folks, by the way, are very familiar with. Let's be real. There has always been a two-tiered system of justice in this country, one for white people and one for black people. And now Republicans are trying to co-opt that reality to say, no. In reality, what's wrong with this system, this two-tiered system of justice, is that it's trying to hold conservatives accountable for insurrection, for treason. How dare the United States of America be used to hold white, conservative, rich people responsible for their actions trying to overthrow this government? And it was at that point that you started hearing all across the country representatives like Marjorie Taylor Greene, whose voice you could hear in that clip. That's when you started hearing them talking about dismantling the Department of Justice, dismantling the FBI, right? That's because the FBI and the DOJ actually was used to hold a Republican, a conservative white person accountable in this country. And so that's why that clip was extremely brilliant, because Republicans could not even bite when they had the opportunity to condemn the person they wanted most of all. They want Hunter Biden more than anything else. They're willing to not let Hunter Biden be held accountable if that means Donald Trump has to be held accountable. which is inextricably the best example of their hypocrisy and the two-tiered system of justice that they really want to employ in this country, one where everybody else in this country could be held accountable by the DOJ and the FBI, while conservatives are free to insurrect, they're free to betray this country, they're free to try to overthrow democracy and never be held accountable for it. That's the reality of what was exposed in that impeachment hearing yesterday. Here's a clip of another representative from the state of Texas, Jasmine Crockett, really laying bare the fact that they had no evidence, while the rest of America has plenty of evidence to indict, not only indict, but impeach Donald Trump.
But when we start talking about things that look like evidence, they want to act like they blind. They don't know what this is. These are our national secrets. Looks like in the shitter to me. This looks like more evidence of our national secrets, say on a stage at Mar-a-Lago. When we're talking about somebody that's committed high crimes, it's at least indictments. Let's say 32 counts related to unauthorized retention of national security secrets, 7 counts related to obstructing the investigation, 3 false statements, 1 count of conspiracy to defraud the United States, falsifying business records, conspiracy to defraud the United States, 2 counts related to efforts to obstruct the vote certification proceedings, 1 count of conspiracy to violate civil rights, 23 counts related to forgery or false document statements, 8 counts related to soliciting, and I could go on because he's got 91 counts pending right now. But I will tell you what the president has been guilty of. He has unfortunately been guilty of loving his child unconditionally, and that is the only evidence that they have brought forward. And honestly, I hope and pray that my parents love me half as much as he loves his child. Until they find some evidence, we need to get back to the people's work, which means keeping this government open so that people don't go hungry in the streets of the United States. And I will yield.
That's again, that's Representative Jasmine Crockett of the state of Texas. How spectacularly the Republicans failed yesterday, giving and providing an opportunity for, I mean, so many Democrats to grandstand, to just, an easy layup, a slam dunk on the fact that they had no evidence, yet they took taxpayers' time, taxpayers' dollars, and they wasted it in order to put on a show that they were not even prepared for. This is the overconfidence that the echo chamber that is the conservative propaganda machine, this is what it fosters. It really fosters a delusional mindset, thinking that they have more evidence than they really do, feeling like they can honestly run a scam on the institutions of the United States of America, like they could get away with it without even being challenged. But unfortunately for them, and fortunately for democracy, they were challenged very directly, to the point where I don't know if it's in James Comer's best interest to try another hearing like this, right? I don't imagine that day 2 of this hearing is going to go any better for him than day 1, but stranger things have happened.